Hey, welcome back to Life in All Directions. With you once again, Dante Street. And today we have a really, really special guest. I'm really happy about this guest being here. My special guest today is a mother, an entrepreneur, a life coach, and has had a tremendous, tremendous weight loss journey and shares her journey through law school. She's going to also share her journey, what it means to be a life coach, navigating all the way from being a mom to handling all these different directions that life has taken her and where she is at today. She is going to also talk about some very powerful things in regards to things that you can do to take advantage of your journey, whether it be in weight loss, whether that be a journey in career. She's going to be bringing some really, really powerful information for us today. So buckle up, sit tight, join us for another wonderful episode on Life in All Directions. Come on, I'll see you there. So, ladies and gentlemen, without a doubt, Mystikal Mina joining us today live on the podcast. Mystikal Mina, thank you for joining us so much today. I appreciate you being here. So, for those of you that don't know Mystikal Mina, and I'm just going to let her explain who she is today. So, for those meeting you today for the first time, how do you explain who you are and who are you? Let's hear who you are and how this amazing woman has came to be.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Dante. I am Mina. I am a certified life coach, a business owner, a believer, a mom of four, and so much more. I am very passionate about serving others, creating a positive impact in the world, and I let that drive me, whether it is doing work in the community or the business side hustles or even the work that I might do on a day-to-day basis.
Awesome. Awesome. So it sounds like you keep extremely busy and a woman that has so many hats. And it sounds like life is just taking you in so many different directions and you're able to bring it all back and balance everything together. And so when somebody's actually asking you, like beyond your job titles, and if I was to come up to you and say, hey, what exactly is it that you do? Like, what is your approach to that question?
I help people.
In a
Simple.
nutshell,
I always
in a
explain to a
nutshell.
5-year-old, I help people. I help people understand where the roadblocks and challenges are, no matter what that might be, and help them understand what root causes are for issues or choices or habits, and then help them overturn that.
I think that's amazing. I mean, I'm, as you well know, I'm very big about positive vibes. I'm very big on kindness, and I think we can use just so much more of it in the world. So I personally thank you for bringing that into the world and sharing that with not just our community here at Life in All Directions, but sharing it with your community and so many others. I think that's extremely powerful. And so like, where do you feel that you're currently at in all of that as we now see all of those things that you do? Like, where do you feel that you're at with it now? And then we'll talk a little bit about more about where you see it going and where you want it to go.
Before I talk about where I'm at, I want to kind of talk about what drove me to where I'm at today as well.
Please.
When I was younger, I had a conversation with my grandpa. He's a huge impact on my life, my journey, the community work, serving others. And something that he had shared with me was a saying, and it was in Punjabi, but I'm going to translate it. So in English, the saying is, when you are born crying and the world around you is smiling. And he went on to say, live your life in such a way that when you die, you are smiling and the world around you is crying.
Shout out to Grandpa for that. That's amazing.
Right? So
How would that sound in Pakistani?
I won't even try at this point. I know some languages, I'll probably mix all the languages up. But I saw this in action when my grandpa passed about 10 years ago. And when he passed, I was at his funeral and it was that same, like, I was looking at him in his casket. I swear to God, he was smiling.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
That's how crazy it was, and then he had the entire community in tears, and it was one person after the other saying, "This is how he changed my life. This is how he supported me when my family had outcasted me," or, "This is how he inspired me or believed in me," and that really drove that passion, and at this time, my kid Mo was 2 years old, so he is now 14, but for him, like, it was a relationship that he even started building, and for me, it was, "Okay, like, this is what grandpa did for me, and this is what I'm gonna do for my kid as well." Like, I'm gonna show him the impact that you can have on those around you, and till this day, like, I can see him starting to embody that, and he is 14 today, doing very similar work at his age
It's
and
amazing.
supporting and inspiring others around him too.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, grandparents have such a big impact on our lives. Like my grandfather was my rock. And I feel I can feel what you're talking about there because I know like for me, when my grandfather passed, and my grandfather on my dad's side, when he passed, it's almost like I thought it was a evil joke. Like he's gonna pop out of that casket any moment now and just say, "Hey, I got you." I mean, I wanted to see who was gonna show up. Something crazy like that, right? That's
Mhm.
just the way I thought. But like I know that when my grandfather passed, is that death took like the passing of somebody, I should say, death took on a whole different like feeling, right? Because whatever passing that has happened in my life, whether it been friends or family, like nothing is at that level of where like things were with my grandfather.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To where that it doesn't hold as much weight to me. And not just speaking to me. Like I'm not saying that anybody that has passed in my life that they weren't important and that I didn't love them. I mean, like I lost a dear friend not too long ago, one of my best friends that I lost to cancer. And, but I feel that you find other deaths like you're more
Yeah, this is true. And when you have other folks that are close or that you know of that are passing, it doesn't hit you as much as somebody that has inspired you or somebody that was there
yeah.
for you when you hit rock bottom or when you were going through the storms in life. So that this particular death for me was that very hit of crap. Like when I was at my lowest, like when I was disowned by family, it was my grandpa that called and checked in on me. Like, even if it meant I was crying on the phone with him, it was my grandpa saying, "Don't worry, like, God got you. Like, don't worry, you'll be fine."
Do you feel that with like as much of a cornerstone as like our grandparents are in our life, but like with I mean, I guess what I'm saying is when they're that root and they're that everything to you, you know what I mean? It's like there's nothing or no one else that matters in regards to like I mean, let me put it this way. And I don't want to sound crazy, and I don't want people to think I'm, like I hear voices or like I see Bruce Willis walking around and, what I mean, I got the sixth sense going on. But do you feel there are times where you still hear his voice? Like something's happening and you hear him like not physically, you know what I mean? Not trying to say that, you got spirits going on around you, some other kind of, stuff. No pun intended with your name. But what I'm saying is like, do you feel like you can hear their voice? And I'll give you an example of that for me is the when I had my child, you know what I mean? And obviously it was not an ideal setting, right? And I had a choice, right? Like I could have walked away and said I want nothing to do with this. And the one thing I heard in my head was, and I still hear it to this day, is you have to do right by that boy. You have to do right by him. And it's like I hear it's not like this it's like this presence that comes along and I hear it where it's like you have to do right by him. Times as parents, right, where you just want to break down and you're like, God damn, what am I doing here? But I hear his presence. You know what I mean? Do you ever feel that you get that sometimes, like with your grandfather and how close you were?
Some may argue it might be the spirits or the Holy Spirit or God. Something that my grandpa was blessed with is he often heard in dreams, like whether it was the voice of God or, somebody's pregnant or some good news that's coming. And then he often would say, when you see those passed away loved ones in your dreams, like they're either there to comfort you or to give you a message as well. So yes, and there are times where I have dreamt, and when I've even after his passing, I'm going through a rough patch or something, and then there we are chilling like at a park bench or on a bed, and he's talking to me or giving me advice. So there's many different like forms of hearing that. Like some argue that you do get guided and protected by your ancestors as well. So I think all of that, like it's not just me and God, it's the spirits, it's everything that really helps guide me in my direction and reminds me of who I am and my worth and the direction I'm going to and why I'm here on earth as well.
I think that's powerful. I mean, that's really amazing. So At what point did you realize that, like, because you just to shed a little bit of light, so you actually went to law school, right? So try to in transitioning, like, where did that come from? Like, when did you realize that, like, like, hey, I'm gonna go to law school and I'm gonna, go do this amazing thing that a lot of people aren't able to accomplish. And, I believe there's a very, I'd have to look at the numbers, but it's a pretty high dropout rate if I'm correct.
And a very low pass rate on all the exams as well.
Yeah, well, Kim Kardashian could tell you that she hasn't been able to pass the bar for a while.
I mean, I feel like anyone can go through law school. You just have to be committed to finishing it. Uh, and then where it came from, well, I was raised and the hopes that were instilled on me was that I was going to become a doctor. Very typical for a brown community member to feel like, hey, you got to be a doctor or an engineer. So for me, it was, oh, this is the straight A child. So she's going to go on and be a doctor. But a year and a half into pre med, and I was like, yep, this is not going to be me. And right around the same time, what I got was then you're considered a dropout. Like you should just get married at this point because no one is gonna wanna marry you. And then that's a whole different episode. That's a whole different episode. It's gonna be an hour or two we talk about that. But it was me finding myself. So during this time frame, I worked with a financial institution. I was very inspired by some of the leaders I had there. And I went to school and had my undergrad as a business degree. And as I was graduating with this business degree, I was going through um, a, a relationship that had some domestic violence in it. And I encountered an attorney that was working through and helping me on my case from a local nonprofit. And that attorney, I remember like crying, not knowing what to do, facing the abuser in court. And this attorney continuously comforted me and reminded me that my voice needs to be heard and that I was speaking for other women who were afraid to speak up as I went into this courtroom. And just that belief that this attorney had in me and the reminder for me to like go to sleep because God stays up all night so you don't have to worry. Just we got this, don't worry about it. Like that feeling is what made me want to go to law school. Like after I graduated, like it took me 10 years to get my bachelor's in HR. So of course I'm gonna be like, okay, I got a 2-year-old, like I'm good, I'm done. 3 months later, I'm studying for the LSAT because I was like,
Oh,
nope, I gotta do something. Like, there's a reason why I went through this, and I need to go out there and I need to create an impact. So it wasn't about money. It wasn't about like fame. It was, I need to go help others like this person helped me. Like, this is my first step towards helping others. And then fast forward through law school is where I had an internship. And in this internship, I worked with a local law office. And in working through this law office, I found out that the legal world, when it comes to attorneys and law offices, is dog eat dog. Like,
mm,
nobody gives a crap about, like, doing the right thing. Well, I'm gonna take that back. There are some attorneys that are working for, like, civil rights and all that good stuff. But in, like, your typical partner law firm or attorneys that are solo, they're just trying to make the money. And no lie, like, back then, I was like, "Yeah, I wanna get 6 figures. Of course, I want the money." But as I started seeing like these emails that are going back and forth between like a prosecutor and a district attorney and the attorney I was working through, they're treating each other like they're in high school, saying things like, "Hey, I know I was born in the morning, but I wasn't born yesterday morning." And I'm over here like, what? You are the DA. Like, are you serious? Like, those types of situations kept happening. And I'm like, this does not seem all great like it's cut out to be. And I had a real talk with the attorney I was working for, and he's like, look, Amina, if you ask me, you should stay in corporate and work on any aspect of legal because their one attorney's job is divided into like 20 different teams. And he said, then you have benefits, insurance, and all that stuff because I don't recommend this partner stuff. Like, I don't recommend it. And it's coming from an attorney who's done the job for decades. And he's like, it ain't worth it. And then I would say that's probably around that time where I'm like, I know my values. Like, I know how you should treat people. And this is absolutely not how you treat people. I wouldn't want to be associated with that. So it goes into like, I don't know if you ever taken the Strengths Finders tests. Have you heard of Strengths Finders by any chance?
I'm familiar. I have heard of it. I don't think I've
Okay.
taken it. It's probably more like in my discombobulated world, it might have been Adult Finder, but uh, that's amazing.
That has come back up every single time is the strength of significance. And what that is I want to be surrounded by others that inspire me and that have the same values as me. And then I want to lead in that same way. So that's like where I started building on that and realizing I don't want to work with these people. I don't want to do this stuff. So people laugh and they're like, "What? You went to law school and you're not an attorney?" Like, I kid you not, I'll still help people. Like, for people that can't afford an attorney, I will walk you through on how to fill out the paperwork. For people that are going through nonprofits, I sometimes still partner with local nonprofits, either when they need a translator or when they need someone that needs to come in and just check paperwork, for example. So I still apply that knowledge, but I also use it in everything else that I do. Like, if anything, I know it's expensive. Going through law school has taught me to stand up for myself. It has taught me my legal rights. It has taught me, I mean, technically how to get away with murder as well, but that's
So
another episode.
so basically, we should ride around with you in the car, right? Just in case
It'll
we
be
get pulled
fun.
over.
We'll probably listen to like 10 different types of music, but it'll be
Bring the playlist. I love a good playlist. So with so at what point did I mean, we're hearing the fact that you've heard these things like we're like, hey, like I've gone through law school, but I don't really want to be an attorney. And how did you pivot into the next direction of where life took you? Like, how did you just say all of a sudden, now I'm going to go into life coaching or, I'm going to go into, some of these other amazing things that you're doing. Like, how did life pivot to that to where you're like, hey, like, I think this is what my real calling is, and this is where I'm going to go.
great question. During law school, I had also started my own business. So during this time frame, I was doing henna tattoos and started an event planning business. So a lot of weddings, birthdays, etc. And this was to pay for law school, but also to pay for daycare at the same time. So for anyone that has
Boy,
kids,
that's a bill
that's a
that
struggle.
bill is that bill with daycare. I mean,
Yeah. So I had a corporate job and then I had law school and then the side hustle. So that's where, yes, it was paying for daycare and law school. Once I finished law school, I then started saving so that I can buy my first house. So it was clear that for me and for the dreams that I have, it's not going to be done on a corporate job. It's not going to be done on one income. Many people live their whole life on one income and might be comfortable with that. But I knew that, like, going back to what grandpa said of, dying and smiling, like, I knew for me to get there, I needed to do more. I could do more. Like, I'm sitting here, I'm not okay with mediocre. I'm not okay with comfortable because I know I have a purpose here and I'm still not done. So that's what continued to drive me. I remember having a conversation with one of my mentors at the corporate job, and he was like, "Usually, when you go to school, you then go do the job. Like, are you leaving this job?" And I was like, "I don't believe in like following like that one track mind. Like, I believe you have a hallway and you have a number of different doors that you can build and you open it when you want to open it. And it's up to you to build another door. So whether it's me going back for another degree or me going for achieving a coach certification, like there's a dozen different certifications I've had since, but it's me creating another door. My most recent certification I got was the ProSci Change Management certification, kind of looking at AI adoption. And that's huge right now. Like, the last few years, everyone's talking about AI. It came out of nowhere, and now it's
love it.
like,
Love it.
what the heck's going on? But it's for me to create another door. Like, how many other people can say they can speak to change management with AI adoption? Not many, right? So if I want to stand out as the best candidate in a job or the best consultant that might be hired for future work, or if I want to go out and officially start that nonprofit I've been planning, like all of these skills are going to help me, whether it's the legal skill or the coach skill or that change management skill, because I'm still leading, I'm still directing, I'm still supporting people and helping people. So that how did I get to law school and how did I get to my current career? It was that how do I be better than who I was yesterday? How do I stand out as the best candidate? Is what I'm doing going to help me in that future? And this vision wasn't clear until a few years ago. And so much life has happened in the last few years. I started my health and wellness business. I started coaching. I was able to see how you can use income from a side hustle and eventually build your own empire. Prior to that, I said, yes, I want to build my empire. But up until starting this health and wellness business and sitting in some of our global training conferences, I didn't see it and feel it and have like thousands of mentors until now that helped me really understand like how you can use a business such as the Argon Health and Wellness business to be a vehicle to help drive things like giving back to the community or going to mission trips and building houses in Haiti. Like there's all of these things, and I know that's what I'm here for. Like I'm here to help drive that across the world. So I'm excited for my future.
I
I
I
know I've
I
come and done so much up until now, but
I think
it's
I
gonna
think
go
there's
so
so
fast.
much more ahead. I mean, it sounds amazing. So, like, what would you say to the listener today about if, let's just say, they were thinking about law school, or they're thinking about taking a step in the direction of entrepreneurship, or basically somebody telling them that they can't? Like, what would you tell that? What would you tell that listener today? Like, what? So, and you know, what I mean by that, when you're speaking to them, like, what's step one?
That's a interesting question you have because there's so many times in my journey that I was told that I couldn't do something. Even going to law school, I was told that, hey, this is something a guy does. Like, it's going to be impossible for you to achieve this. And this was my own father and his brother, so my uncle telling me, you can't do this. It's not something that you would be able to do. So I'm speaking from experience. So for anyone that is being told you can't do this, or maybe you are second guessing or doubting yourself, if God put that dream in your heart, He's going to give you a way to do it. So I will say, I believe in you. I don't even know you, but I can say I'm going to believe in you because you've already had that dream. Now you just have to go and action it. So, what are you going to do? Like, one of the questions we often ask as coaches, like 5 years from now, where do you see yourself? And then we work back from that. Okay, if nothing changes, is that going to still happen? And usually the answer is no. So, what can we do today that helps you get closer to that dream that you have of where you want to be 5 years from now?
Absolutely. And I have said numerous times that, do you really want to have regret? You know, because it's one of the most expensive things that you'll ever pay for is regret. And, you know, even starting this podcast, it was, if you look at the episode one, where, it took so long just to get the microphone going, and I had the equipment for over a year,
Oh my gosh.
and I was, you get in your own head, like, what am I going to look like? Am I too big? Am I this? I mean, you start telling yourself all of these no's, right? But one of the things that I remember hearing in regards to like your ideas and the things that you want to do is, you know, do you like, let me ask you this. Have you ever been told like where the richest place in the world is?
No, tell me more.
The richest place in the world is the graveyard.
Wow.
The richest place in the world is the graveyard. The reason I say that is because if you think of all of the ideas that people never got started, or that never took the ambition to go with, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that there's all these ideas that died with people, and there's probably millions sitting there, right? Or a change in the world, and
Yeah.
that never got the opportunity or never took that leap to go. And that's why I'm very big, like, hey, you got one round here, like, make the most of it, because the last thing you want to do is be 70, 80, 90 years old, given that same story of like, well, if I was your age, I would have done this, or I wish I could have done this at your age. Well, you could have. And I think that when you are willing to take that leap, And with any success, and you've had such a successful journey that has so much more ahead of itself, but we know that anything in success, there's going to be failure. There's going to be some
Yeah,
challenges. And when you were taking your journey and taking the journey with all of the things that you've done, like, what did you do when you came across a scary moment or where you might have had a little self doubt? And how did you pick yourself up to actually go forward and say, F it, I'm going to make it happen?
that's tough. There's so many moments that has happened, and I wasn't always able to pick myself up, like, in a heartbeat and keep going, and I think over the last 2 decades especially, there was many times I fell, there's many times I hit rock bottom. I think there was on 2 or 3 occasions where it got to the point where I had even become suicidal. And coming back from that was huge, and what kept me going was I have kids. Like, I am that role model for them, like, my grandpa's not here, like, who else is gonna be that role model to show them that you can be anything you want to be? Like, I didn't have someone believing in me aside from my grandpa, and for them, I wanted them to have that. So, what kept driving me is those kids, but let me tell you, that doesn't mean go out and have kids, y'all, because having kids is a
No,
whole different story.
because those
It
kids will
is
also
uh,
drive you crazy.
yes, agreed, 1,000,000%. I love them, they are a blessing, but they were a part of my why, as far as why I kept going. Throughout the years, I learned something different. People often say that when you're going through stuff, like, you have this whole thing and you figure it all out, but I learned different things each year. Every time I fell, there was something else I learned. Like, one of the things I learned right as I became a coach and I was going through the certification program, I went in and sought out some coaching myself as a participant or a client. And as I was seeking out coaching, I'm going in thinking, let me figure out how this coach coaches so I can coach too. But I walked away with some life changing moments. Like, I remember having a deep conversation, and conversation was about like corporate America. And the coach was like, well, that's corporate America for you. And that was my moment of, oh crap, like I really need to get out. Like, I really need to focus on building my business and creating this empire and creating my nonprofit so I don't have to sit in corporate America. And that's where I began studying more about, the side hustles and building multiple streams of income. Your average millionaire has like 5 to 7 streams of income. So again, if you're trying to be a millionaire, it's not going to be on a corporate job. So these types of things I'm learning as I'm falling, but also things like resting. So over the last year especially, I learned that for men and women that are busy, that keep doing things, that never stop, that say sleep is for the dead, this is usually a trauma response from when they were kids and they were told, don't be lazy. Why are you sitting there? Why are you, like, laying in the sun? Why are you watching TV? Like, all of these, like, triggers we've had since kids where we're now just go, 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 because if we were not doing things every second of the day, then we are failing. And the hardest thing for me to learn was to rest. So that's something that's on my vision board for this year is rest. Like, give yourself grace and rest, because when you come back from resting, breathing, meditating, your brain works differently. Like, the creativity, the innovation comes out differently. So, especially for somebody that's working on like building a business, that's very important because the first 2 years of a business is like the first 2 years of a marriage. Like, it's gonna be difficult. You are learning all the things, and you're hearing lots of no's and rejections, and you're learning about yourself and how you're leading, and you're learning on how to, go through and, like, build your communities.
I thought those no's in marriage came like way later when it's like, no, not tonight. But
It's the first well, I've heard the first 2 years.
I
And
thought that
arguably,
was the
especially, like, I'm gonna build on, I think one of your last episodes was a little bit about how women are choosing to be single. One of the things is we live a certain way for so long as single women where we're like, Psh, I gotta share my space. So I find myself talking to my single friends who are like, oh, I really want to find myself a guy this year and settle down. And I'm like, are you sure you want that second sink full of
so
hair? Like,
you
are
know
you
what? That's
want the
so
toilet
here
stuffed up? Like, how do you really
I
want
can
this?
I can totally build right on that because that it's I've literally just had this conversation with a couple of people over the last couple of weeks. So I was recently dating somebody and I've been single for a while, God, I'd probably almost say since the Obama administration. But like, so it's been a while, but you get so engaged into your day to day habits and your routine, right? So you have your routine that you normally do. And for the love of God, like when my kid's at his mother's, like I like to sleep diagonal, God damn it. So, but you get to a point in a structure and like where you're used to your routines, right? And I was dating somebody and we got serious and it's like I didn't know how to, it's like I forgot how to be in a relationship. That's like how when you're so used to making yourself the number one priority, right? Unless your parent, your kids are going to be your priority, but
Yeah.
you also look out for you, right? Like because I'm very big on like, hey, you have to but I'm also big on this too. You have to fill your cup up and let others drink from the saucer, right? Because, and that includes your kids as well. You have to take care of you first. There's a reason why they tell you to put the mask on first on the plane. But you forget how to date and you forget how to have somebody in your space. So single people, I'm one of them, and we want somebody in our space, right? We like the idea of it. It sounds great. We want that person to go do, like, what do you hear people say? Oh, I want someone that I can go do fun activities with, or I can go do this with, or I can have dinner with, or I can talk to at night, or I can have dinner with. Well, no, you just need a friend. You don't need a partner. You want someone to go do activities with, and you want someone to go do certain things with, because when you're in your space, you also need your space, right? Like you don't want to be bothered and corrupted with. And the example I can give you of that is right is, as we all know, I have a podcast that we're doing the live recording right now. However, but I also go to school. I also do my career. I'm also a dad. There's also other projects that I work on. And I started realizing that when I was dating this person, like you have to be able to make time for this person and welcome them into your world. So, there's times where I'm hanging out with this person, we're watching a movie, we're just chilling on the couch, and I'm over here side-eyeing my computer in my office, like, bro, you got some homework you need to go do. You got some this you need to go do. Like, you need to go do some editing. You need to go do a recording. Like, I hadn't put it on an episode and I don't know how long. Like, it was weeks since I'd put it on an episode. And I found myself like, wow, like, do you really have the time and opportunity to welcome somebody into your life? Because you do so many things and wear so many hats, but
Yeah.
it's not just about like, are you willing to welcome them in? But you have to be able to welcome somebody in with people like ourselves that are extremely busy and that have so much going on that you have to welcome somebody into that space that is also understanding and realize that, hey, one of the things that drew me to you was all of those things that you do. So in
Mhm.
order for me to continue doing all of those things that I was attracted to you to do, I need to give you some space to do those things. And sometimes that means having that partner that says, yeah, I would love to see you tonight, but let me ask you, like, do you have any things that you need to do for your project? Is there anything that you're working on that you're doing? So I don't want to distract you from those. You know what I mean? Unless you're like, hey, I'm cool with like you just doing whatever you got to do in your office or doing whatever you got to do. I'm going to hang out on the couch and watch a movie until you're done for a couple hours, then we can hang out and do this. So that's finding the balance and all of that. So, for those of you that are single and that are dating and that have that busy lifestyle, be honest with yourself. You know what I mean? And be brutally honest, because when you welcome somebody into that space, you also realize that you're giving up a lot of space as well. Right. And that space is going to be one thing, and that's going to be time. Right.
Yeah.
And because then if you're not willing to do that, what happens is you start having not just regret, but you start having frustration moments, you know what I mean? Where you're like, damn, I got stuff I got to do, but I want to hang out with my partner and I want to see them. And then like myself, like, right, like the situation didn't work out. Like that just wasn't my person. Great human being. Totally wish them the best in life. And I think they're amazing. They just weren't my person. However, there's times of me like when it ended where I just had regret, where I was like, damn it, like I could have been working on so much other stuff. And I chose to spend this time with you, whether that was talking on the phone with you, texting you, whatever. I had all this opportunity to crush so much other stuff. And here I am being a jackass, spending time with you. But like, you're not really being a jackass. You just have to realize that like that's also something you want in your life. And that's how you really have to try to find that balance. And I don't think a lot of single people understand that what that means is welcoming somebody in your space and still being able to find that balance.
It's a whole different thing Like, okay, so for the last year and a half, something that I've studied a lot is a marriage as a sacred covenant and how it's outlined in the Bible as well. And one phrase that sticks out is you have to die to your single self in order to be in a marriage, for example. And that means you're prioritizing all the time. Like, the two become one, that means all those decisions are together. It means you're considering and thinking of that other person. For those that uh, are religious, God will always come first, and you have to be all in with God, but then your spouse comes next, your partner comes next, and then career or kids, and then career. So, God, spouse, kids, career. And sometimes, like my whole life, I lived with career on top.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until a year and a half ago, and that was another realization that I had going through coaching was, I my whole life, like I've had by this point therapy multiple times, but it wasn't until I did life coaching and received life coaching that I realized that I would always seek out academic achievement and professional achievement because I was trying to avoid my depressing life.
Mm.
Like, there's some aspect of life that I was not happy with, and I didn't wanna talk about it, so by avoiding it and getting the hit from being a workaholic is what kept me going, and when I figured this out, like, this was one of those times I hit rock bottom. I didn't know what to do with life, where I realized, like, "Oh, I really need to figure this out." So because the person that I'm meant to be, like, the person God wants me to be, like, I can't get there until I reorganize this and fix everything else. And up until that point, like, I'm not gonna say I was a shit mom, but up until that point, if I had a meeting for work or if I had a business event, I would get very upset if the kids came up to me last minute and said, "Oh, by the way, I have this form," or "Can you help me do this project?" Or if some curveball came through from my partner. At that point, I'm like, "What the heck? Like, now you're messing with my career. I'm never gonna let you mess with my career. Work too hard to build this." And having the realization of, "Oh, I'm this workaholic. I need to reverse this." Like, I had to find myself again. And I
Yeah.
had to understand, like, what is healthy, what is not, and find a joy in being a mom. Like, prior to this, it was like, I hate being a mom. Why the heck did I have kids? And in having that realization, it was being a mom is such a blessing. I have some crap moments and then I have some great moments, but this is what's continuing to drive me as my why. Like, I'm here to show them, just like I'm here to show the rest of the community that anything's possible. I think I totally went on a tangent, but I
No,
hope I answered your
you actually really just answered like three of my questions without asking them, and I think that's brilliant.
That's
That's why I'm like
perfect.
kind of checking them off here. I'm like, that's great. Because
Overachiever,
one of
right?
them was actually, I was going to talk to you about like, do you feel guilt as a parent? Because I know I feel guilt at times too, and I know that I feel guilt when I'm like, man, like, I got work, I got to do this. But one of the realizations that I had is, I stay true to this. Like I love what I've done for my career. I've worked really hard to even get to the point where I'm at today, and especially with some advancement that has just recently happened in my career, I've worked really hard to get there and a lot of
Okay.
work behind the scenes to get there. However, I've always said this in regards to just, well, I don't want to say always, but what I've recently told myself, even with all the advancement, with all the work that I've done and everything that I'm still continuing to do, and, all of the stuff that I want to do, is there is no career that is more important than my kid. Like, I don't care what the situation is, like, if I mean, I don't ever wanna say, like, I force my job's hand to, like, "Hey, you gotta make a decision. If I gotta go get my kid, you need to be you need to be this or that." I don't do that, you know what I mean? I mean, that's all done through communication, you know what I mean? And being able to communicate, "Hey, what are upcoming events?" I'm also letting you know, like, "Hey, look, I'm a parent. I have a toddler that there may be a situation where I have to break away and I need to go." You know what I mean? And it's not going to be a daily thing. It's not going to be hopefully a monthly thing, but there might be a time where, hey man, my kid just fell off the monkey bars. I got to go. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And there is no career that will be more important than my child, because I've looked at it like, hey, you have the blueprint on how to get to where you're at now. You can go get there again.
Mhm.
And you can also, there's other ways and avenues to make money. I mean, I can go get a pedicure and start doing feet pics. I mean, no, I'm just kidding. But there is a number of ways.
He's half serious. He just waited to upload those.
I mean, if that was possible, like the hell yeah, I would. But that was possible. But I just truly believe that, like, for those of you that are parents, you know what I mean, and that are also in careers and that have worked so hard to get to where you're at, I encourage you to realize that your kids are going to be more important than anything, because you will never get that time back. Your kid will never be 3 years old again, or 2 years old, or 14. They will never be that age again. And you will find yourself, I mean, as a parent now, like, have you ever looked at your child and be like, man, I remember when I used to be able to pick you up and hold you, right? Now it's like, it's almost the opposite, right? You got a teenager where they can
He's
pick you
telling
up.
me now.
Yeah,
Yes.
you gotta take a step back when you're yelling. You know what I mean?
I no joke, I have him sit down.
Yeah,
I can't be screaming at you like this.
no,
Um,
100%. So
okay,
that, go ahead.
2 answers, or the first question you had was about how to deal with the guilt. One of the things I learned about over the last year is when you're operating from different frequencies. So when it comes to shame, guilt, and I think you even mentioned you read like the book Let Them, that's where we're really processing and understanding, what am I going through? Why am I feeling this way? It is because someone at some point in our life made us feel that we were doing something wrong.
Mm,
If you ask me today, no, absolutely not. Am I feeling it? No, I said goodnight to my child and said I'm gonna go do some work, but I said my goodnight, I love you, etc. And then I am intentionally making the time. So just like a relationship with a partner, with your kids, it's also important to intentionally make time. Like one of the things Mo and I have done ever since he was a kid was we went on mom and Mo dates. And even with my youngest, like we're going on just me and him, whether it's going to the movies or creating some positive experiences that they can reflect back on and know that mom took some time out and spent time with me. Now I get it that that's not always possible. Like if someone is working to barely pay the bills, sometimes that might be two jobs. That might mean trying to work a business and trying to work a job. All the things. Like there's all these different reasons why you might not be able to get there. But nobody wakes up to say, I'm going to be a shit parent today. Like, that's never somebody's goal. Everyone wants to do their best as a parent. So when you are feeling that shame or that guilt, like the first question I would ask as a coach is, where is that coming from? Like, do you seriously believe that, or did somebody say it to you at some point? I'll give a great example. Growing up, I was told a woman's job is in the kitchen and raising the kids. And yes, there was a point when I had Mo that I felt like crap. Like I have to work a job and work a business in order to pay for a roof over our heads and food on the table and daycare and diapers because all of that is very expensive. But I was doing the best I could. Like in that time frame, people were shaming me. People were making me feel bad that, hey, like you're not even spending time with. I was creating a future. I was creating safety. If I don't know if you've heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like that first level is like safety, food, like roof over the head, all that thing. And that's what you're working on is creating a safe space so that you don't have a poor environment for your child. So at one point, I stopped giving a crap about what other people were saying. It doesn't matter. Like, I know I'm doing my best. I know that I'm treating my children the best they can. And I know that it's on me to continue making time. Like, whether it's a
Absolutely.
relationship or, and even for blended families or going into a marriage and then having kids, like you still have to prioritize and you still have to make time. Is it important to you? How important is it to you? Where does it go on that list? And then start making that time. So even as someone that might be single and you have all these priorities already, like dating, okay, that person's a girlfriend or that person's a boyfriend. They don't get spouse level until you're actually married. If you're giving them all of the husband energy or the wife energy as a boyfriend or girlfriend, why would they want to get married? Like, so there's a point where you guys both like each other and you're committed to each other and you know you will prioritize and pursue the other person's happiness when you become one. And that's where you elevate and reprioritize after you get married. But up until then, Like, spirits are agreeing with us today. Up until then, like, yeah, you prioritize, "Hey, like, I need to know that here are all the things that might come up. This is important. This is why it's important, but I will intentionally make time for you." Like, that's the other piece of not saying, "Hey, you're not important," right off the bat, but saying, like, "Here's the other option we have, like, let's do brunch on Sunday," or "Let's go dancing on Friday." Whatever that might look like, whatever it is that you want to do to spend that time, you still have to come back. Like, if you want to continue nurturing that relationship, how else are you going to continue getting to know that person? How else are you going to really decide, like, is this someone I want to live the rest of my life with? Or is this someone I'm just kind of passing time with and then going from there?
Yeah, that temporary fix, right? That people, it's like the dopamine that
Mhm,
people are getting from that high of having that person in their life, and not realizing that all of the things that are going to come along with that, right?
mhm.
And I think I've experienced that for sure in regards to having that dopamine of like having that person in my life and having that, hey, I have that my person. I can, I have someone I can talk to. I can, I can go do all these great things with, and you start falling in love with the lust of possibility,
Yeah, the
right?
potential.
Potential, right?
Yeah,
And I think that's what a lot of people nowadays have. They fall in love with the potential, and that's not going to
yeah,
work.
yeah.
It's going to fade real fast.
I feel like that's huge because a lot of people fall in love with potential and then try to change their partner
Mm,
as
yes.
well. There's like a second piece to that of, hey, like, do this or don't do this, or I don't like that. Like, up to a certain point, you can determine, like, certain things, but if you're starting to change, then you're really not accepting them for their whole authentic selves. Then you're trying to change them to make them how you want them to be. And that's like huge key of, hey, have you healed? Because if you haven't done the work and you haven't healed, then you're gonna come in here and be like, oh, you can't do that. I need you to wake up at 7 a.m. and do this, that, and the other. Like that's
Yeah, and that's I think a lot of people realize or don't realize that they need to actually do the healing. And a lot of people, you get people that, oh, I'm on this healing journey, right? I'm on this healing journey. But what does that journey look like? Right? Like, are you putting in the work? Are you going to therapy? Are you doing things that are helping yourself heal? And a lot of people, I think, just want to fall into that category. Oh, I'm healing right now. But great. I hope that you are. And I think that we all are. I think we all have something we're healing from, whether that been something that we had from our parents or a relationship or, you know, even a career that was challenging, whatever it may be, we're all healing from something. The question is, are you surrounding yourself with good people? Are you
mhm,
putting yourself in a position to actually heal? And what does that look like? Right. Because you get the healing journey people and they're like, well, let me go out here and step into this dating world because I feel like I'm healing. I'm not all the way healed, but let me step into this dating world
mm,
or let me step into, this different aspect of life. But I haven't done the work. And
yeah,
I think people need to be brutally honest with yourself or with themselves, I should say, be just brutally honest. And I think that's another thing is people have trouble being brutally honest. And that means stepping in front of the mirror, saying exactly what the truth is. And that fucking truth is going to hurt. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And if you can't be honest with yourself, then you're probably not being honest with a lot of other people either.
yeah. I think part of that though is, and I'm gonna speak from personal experience. Like, I don't think I was brutally honest until last year. And for me, it was for the longest time, there was a little bit of shame of maybe I shouldn't be like this. Like, I grew up seeing a mom who gave her all. She was like a servant when it came to being a wife. Like, she did all the things, gave her all. Like, I grew up and learned from what I saw from the moms, the aunts, the grandmas was to show love is to do all the things and to serve and give. Give your whole self and then some, right? And clearly that is not healthy at all.
No.
Because yes, as a wife or a partner, you do give, but it's equal give and take. In the right healthy relationship, it's equal give and take. So there's even that piece of really understanding like one, like, are you healing? Like, sometimes you won't know you have something to heal from until you get in a relationship. there's that piece as well, but are you self-aware enough to know, "Okay, I can continue working on building this relationship and doing the work and healing," or are you gonna try to hide it? Like, that's the other piece of, oh, when you realize it, you're trying to figure out, should I be ashamed? Should I, like, what do I do? I need to work on this. I didn't realize this was a trigger. And you're right. You have to have the right people around you. Like, what does your support system look like? I talked about significance and surrounding yourself with people that you want to be like, that you're inspired by. There's also that saying of, surround yourself with 6 millionaires, you'll be the seventh. Surround yourself with 6 alcoholics, you will be the 7th. Surround yourself with 6 thieves, you will be the 7th. Like, who
Yeah,
is
you
your
definitely
circle?
say that better than you definitely say that better than I do because I've always used the surround yourself with 9 crackheads, you'll be the 10th.
Ab no, it's 6, 7, and I absolutely did not mean to do that, but yes.
I see what you did there.
But
I see what you did there.
my 14-year-old will be so mad and call out brain rot for me saying that. But it's the truth. Like, if you want a healthy relationship, do you have a healthy relationship you can use as a reference? Is there someone around you? It could have been your grandparents. It could be your parents. It could be a friend that has been married for 20, 30 years. Like, who is that healthy relationship that you can look to? Who is that person that you can seek advice from when life gets hard? Because relationships are not easy. You're going
Mm-mm.
to go through storms. But if you don't have the right people surrounding you that have good intentions, that will give you good wisdom and advice to help walk you through that, like, it's gonna be difficult. If you have no friends or if you have all single friends, it's gonna be even harder because they won't understand, and then you have pressures from the single friends to go hang out with them versus pressures from, "Well, I really like this partner and I want to pursue them or I want to, like, take it to the next level," and now you're conflicted because that single side of you also wants to have fun. So which are you gonna prioritize? Like,
Not
that's a you choice. Like, no one else can
yeah,
make that decision for you.
and that's not the smartest thing because, I've experienced that firsthand, right? Like, I had a really good relationship when I first moved out here. I mean, I had a woman that probably would have, that was true love. That was probably one of the only times in my life that I've actually experienced true love, and I did not know that until I left, until it was over. And, I look back at it now where it's like, man, everything I want right now, I had and walked away and was stupid, and but I look at it like if, if you're taking dating advice, or advice about relationships from single people, how can they give you the strongest advice?
Mhm.
Right. So even now, like now when I'm dating, or even I have, questions about like relationships and things like that, like I reached out to my married friends, friends that have been married for 10 plus years, I reach out to them and ask them like, hey, like what are you doing? Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, how do I need to show up more for a partner? You know what I mean? Or someone that I want in my life. Like, how do I show up more for them? And what does that look like? And what type of sacrifice am I looking at here? And, I just think you're going to get better advice from people that are living the experience. Right. So, I mean, when you, I mean, as we've touched on so many different aspects of, your growth, your mindset, which is all absolutely beautiful and amazing.
Thanks.
So how do you coach someone, right? Like in regards to being a coach yourself, how do you coach someone that may know what they want, but they're scared to go after it, or they are timid to take that step and take that leap of faith?
Can I coach you in the moment?
Fire away.
We're live on Life in All Directions, and we're gonna go through some coaching. Tell me about something that you want to do, but you're afraid of doing.
Skydiving? No. But I just think I'm too big to go skydiving. It's a really good question. I don't think I have that fear right now, to be honest with you.
That's
I
accurate.
really don't. No, I,
Okay,
I
I guess
really
we can
don't.
coach in the moment, but
No, no, no. Well, because I'll here's the thing. Here's what I'll tell you. So one of the biggest things that I wanted to do and had so much fear of doing was this. Doing
and you're doing.
this podcast was one of the biggest fears that I had, and I was so worried about like, what are people going to say? Because the internet will come for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The internet will come for you, and my I I had so much fear and so much just in my own head. And I just said, you got to go out there and do it. Like, I mean, the fear of going back to school, like, am I going to have enough time? Or, dude, do you want to go back into debt? Do you want that? You know what I mean? Like, I had this fear of doing these things.
Mm,
And, as Mel Robbins would say, let them, but you also have to just say, F it, right? Go for it,
mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
Like, what's really gonna be the worst that happens, right? And if you wanna be successful, you also have to realize there are going to be failures that come along with it. And if you're not willing to take that leap of faith, then you're gonna be stuck with regret. Now, I might have some fear of sliding into somebody's DMs and asking them out, like, that might be some fear I have, right? Because, you don't wanna hear that type of rejection. But, at the end of the day, I can't think of anything off the top of my head
That's
that I'm
okay.
scared to try, you know?
That's actually a great space to be in. For those that are and that seek out some coaching and support of, hey, I really want to do this, but I don't know how to do it, or I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to do it. As a coach, there's a couple of different approaches. And I say that because you have the corporate coach, and the corporate coach is going to dig into, okay, what do you want? Why do you want it? Right? A coach practice is really digging into those feelings to better understand why that's important to you. And then what is the challenge or the barrier? Like, what's stopping you? And that's fear. And in a typical situation, we probably might dig into that fear and really understand where it came from. Like, did someone say something to you? Or when was the last time you felt this way? These types of questions to really understand, like, why is it that happened? And how did you move past it last time you felt this way? So kind of going back to anchoring, like, who do you have in your life or around you that can help you hold you accountable to achieve this goal? A friend, a family member, a neighbor, a coworker, whoever that might be. You build your squad that's going to help support you and hold you accountable. And if you don't have someone to hold you accountable, I'll share an example. When it came to building out a nonprofit and creating a blueprint, I didn't know anyone officially that had a nonprofit, so I joined a local group of women that focus on supporting nonprofits so that I can pick their brains and learn from them. So there's ways to create your own support group, your own helpline, depending on what it is you want. And then it gets to, okay, that whole let them theory of why does it matter what other people want? Do they pay your bills? Is what I always say. If they don't pay your bills, then it doesn't matter what they say, right? If they're not helping you, if they're not partnering, if they don't speak life into you, then it doesn't fucking matter what they say. I hope you can
Yeah.
beep that out, my bad.
No,
But
you're good. We like raw and uncut truth here. So,
there you go. Okay.
but I agree. I think that, like, you can't worry about the opinions of others. You just can't, because if you're worried about what others are
Mhm.
always going to think about you, then you're going to be stuck in the mud forever,
Yeah.
because you're always going to be worried about what someone has to say or what someone's going to react to, or whether it be family or friends, or
Mhm.
I don't look right, or you know what I mean. And don't get me wrong, like, look, I look, I know I'm a big dude, right? So I always worried about, like, man, like, people are going to talk about, like, man, get this big dude off the screen, like he doesn't know what he's talking about. But I'm not talking about things that I don't hold true
Mhm.
to. So I take away anything that you can say to me that would be negative. Like, and if I don't know about those things, I like to do what's called the M&M factor, right? So, and I'll tell you what that is. So is if you've ever seen the movie 8 Mile,
It's been a
then,
while.
well, we all remember the rap battle,
Yes.
right? So, in the rap battle at the end, when he battles with Papa Doc, if you will, where he says all of the negative things that you could possibly say about him, right? So I'm going to take away everything negative that you could possibly say about me.
Yeah.
And what does that leave you with? Either something positive or nothing.
Mhm.
And as you can see in that movie, it left somebody with nothing and left them speechless. And so I've always been a big fan of that since I saw that movie. Was, how can I strip away everything negative that you could possibly say about me, because I'm going to own it, because I know what it is. And if it's not true, you're just making it up, and it holds no weight in my head.
Mm.
So take away everything that somebody could say negative about you. Own your shit. Like, yeah, I am this, I am that. I may fumble a word or two. I may, you know, jump off camera and have a sip of water. I mean, all of these things I'm going to take away from you because I know that's my truth and I know that's who I am and I'm going to live it. And I think if you're that person out there that you're you're worried about what somebody else is going to say, I promise you there's a I promise you this, there's a lot less people that care truly about what you're doing more than you like. It's a lot less than you think. And I've I believe that even like when you start, you start putting content out, you start doing you're a person of business. Let me ask you this, because you'll see how quickly so many people don't care about what you're doing. So when you start putting content out about your business and you start putting this out about your business or that out, how many of your friends are actually rah-rahing you? How many of your friends are the biggest cheerleaders?
That part.
You you'll get more support from people that you don't know
And non-followers. Yeah.
than the people that do follow you and support you. Like all of my comments and all of my stuff like on YouTube or anything like that, majority of that comes from people that I've never met in my life and that do not follow me, that just I mean, I've had people reach out to me, like I post some of my content in a single dads group. I've had guys reach out to me like, man, I really needed to hear that today. Like, thank you. And that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me doing this is because I want to spread as much positivity. But when you get to a point, like it's almost like you have to force it out of your friends, right? And what I mean by that is like it's like you reaching out to them and saying, "Hey, like what's up? Just doing this, about, checking in with you, etc., whatever. Oh, by the way, hey, I really love your podcast. You've been doing such a great job." I'm like, "Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that." What episode really jumped out to you the most? Oh, well, you just had so many and, they're all really great and positive. I'm like, "Great. What's one thing you took away from that?" Just how positive and kind you are. Right, you said that
He didn't
already,
listen.
right, you know what I mean? And so, I get that. I mean, I get people, that have reached out to me even as well, like, "Man, I would love to jump on your podcast. I'd love to be a guest on your podcast." And I'm like, "Okay, great. Like, do you know what the podcast is about? Do you know what we speak about?" "Well,
Mm,
I just know that you're
do it.
positive and you're kind." And I'm like,
Like, okay, so 2 things. One, I would still appreciate the comment, but deep
"Sure."
down inside, okay, they didn't listen. There's a saying, if you wanna know who your real friends are, start a business.
Yes.
And it is
100%
very
true.
true. If you are a friend out there and you have someone in your life that has started a business, I highly recommend still showing up and supporting because you love them. And if you cannot purchase or if you're not so sure about the product or the service that they're offering, or if you don't have enough time, like still connect, like share their post or say, hey, like I'm not ready to do this, but I know someone that was talking about it. Let me connect you to them. That's what friendship is. Like, hey, I can't invest in
Yes.
this right now. I got to pay for diapers, but let me introduce you to this other friend I met, like, wants to invest in or wants to purchase something that will change their life or their skin or help them focus on healthy, whatever that might be. That's what friendship is. Like, you quickly find out, oh, okay, I see the fakeness here when you're pushing the business, something that you are passionate about and people ghost you. And that's
Yeah,
okay because
it
as
is.
you move in all directions in life, as you elevate yourself, as you vibe a whole different higher frequency, you're gonna let go of, I call it trash. You're gonna let go of the trash. The end of each year, you're throwing out the trash. You're getting rid of that toxic waste. And eventually you continue to refine your circle so that you continue to learn and grow and that you have that right support. So this is one of the things I love. The Arbonne health and wellness business I created, like the first time I walked into a room full of business owners that also had their own Arbonne businesses, like I was inspired. I would have paid 500 a month to walk into those rooms. And to have this group of men and women who speak life into you, who show you how they've done it on their end, who give you their tips and who believe in you, like you don't even get that in corporate. You don't even
No.
get that from your friends. So this is where as you're navigating life, you're figuring out like who it is do I want to learn from, who it is that I'm inspired, who it is that I can pour into as well because it goes both ways. And then
Mm,
that's how you're refining. Like, cool, you don't You wanna not listen to the podcast? That's cool, like, share this. Send it to someone that you can think of that might be interested in it, or that might wanna come show up and speak for one of your episodes as well, and that's what true friendship is. It's weird, I was talking to one of my cousins, like, people have not like, everything's changed. People don't even talk to their neighbors anymore.
Mm-mm.
Like, friendship is a whole different level, like, a neighborhood is a whole different level, unless you're paying $500 in HOA and they have events, like, every week, you're probably not talking to your neighbors. Like, there's all these other things that come into play and impact relationship building, and I think society is using things like social media or, the internet or gaming or whatever it might be to check out, when back in the day, you sat around a fire pit or on the porch with some iced tea to talk about how your day was, and people aren't doing that anymore. So, like, if we really wanna dig into why this is happening, it's everything that's
Well,
electronic.
it's funny you say that. I have like one of my really good friends lives in a court, okay, up in Roseville, and they actually have the best surrounding. I mean, like the families all talk to each other, they hang out with each other, and the kids are hanging out at each other's house. I mean, I've been over there hanging out and kids just show up and walk in the door. I'm like, what is going on here? I'm like, who are those kids? He's like, oh, those are the neighbor's kids. I'm like, well, who are those kids? That's the other neighbor's kids. I'm like, and they just walk in the house. And he's like, yeah. And like, my kids walk in their house and, whatever. Like, we got, the pool
They're
or
good
whatever it may be.
friends, yeah, that's kinda cool.
Yeah, they hang out,
It's
they do
rare,
social events.
really cool.
Oh my goodness. And I'm over here just chopping at the bit. I'm like, hey man, let me know when a house opens up on the court. Like I will literally, whatever I got to empty out in the 401k or whatever, like
We're gonna
I'm in,
invest.
I want in here.
That's
And
awesome.
they have such a beautiful setup and setting there. And I really tip my hat for the life that they built. And they tell me all the time, like, hey, we got lucky. Like, we had, we weren't like this with other neighbors, you know what I mean? And it's probably the fact that we live on a court, you know what I mean? So that way we're a little bit closer to each other. But I couldn't, I was just shocked. I mean, because I don't even talk to my neighbors. Like, I think I said hello here and there. And, I live relatively a few feet away. But I understand now that we're shifting. Speaking of podcasts, you're shifting into your own podcast now. And what sparked that journey in regards to starting and venturing into the podcast world?
Yes, and so it hasn't officially been set up yet, but I will share it once it does get set up. Over the last 2 years, I've met so many new people. I've been inspired by so many people, but I've also connected with a few close friends and cousins that when we do get together, we're talking about moments of, can you believe this is what we were told? So, really going back and talking through how we've debunked the things that we were told growing up in the South Asian community, or as we call it, the Desi community, but also how we're breaking cycles and generational curses. So, really bringing light to, hey, this is not normal, this is not healthy, this is not okay, and here's how we've overcome it, to share that. And that
Mm.
ultimately is going to really drive the goal I have for the nonprofit, where I am helping women in the community and helping uplift them in understanding, like, it's okay to be a working mom. It's okay to have dreams and goals. Like, you're leading by example for your own kids in those situations. Some of us have been outcasted. Like, I haven't talked to my parents in like over 5 years. They haven't met my youngest kid because of this. I'm gonna go back to the what will people say, like, in, the Indian culture, the Pakistani culture, there's a phrase that they say, it's "Kya kahenge," which is what will people say. Like, they put so much emphasis on the honor and the prestige that they have in society that they will disown their kids, and they will decide not to associate with kids that are doing something other than what they think is right. And through this, I didn't feel like I had a family. There was no one that I could fall back to or have holidays with, or no one that really accepted me after my grandpa passed. It was like putting up a show every time I walked into the house to give them what they wanted when it came to the version of me. And then when I walked out, that was the true me.
Yeah, could be yourself.
So all of that, like, I am running into more and more people where they're like, people need to hear your story. Like, there's not many people that go through life growing up as a Muslim Pakistani and becoming baptized and finding themselves and finding their authentic selves and not feeling ashamed for being themselves. So get the being fearless and not having regrets, and there's not many people that get to live like that. Like some people do choose violence. Some people do choose
Yeah,
to end their lives, and it's very unfortunate, but it's because all of these pressures that get put on them and they get told and they get shamed and they never have that family to go to. The podcast, the sharing the life stories, the healing, like the goal of it all is to really bring the women in the community together to say, if no one else is going to speak life into you, we will, and we will lift you up, and we will help you move past these conversations and heal and grow so that we all together can create that impact. So that podcast to
I
come
love that for
soon.
you.
But a lot
I
of
love that for you.
backup work is
That's
being
amazing.
done right now to really build a strong foundation and create the content, you know how it goes. So I'm excited,
Yeah, yeah.
but it'll be this
I
year.
I I think you're gonna have an amazing time doing it, and it's fun. And I think that you're gonna inspire so many. And I think that opening up a platform where others can feel heard through your voice and others that you share it with, I think is truly amazing. And I think that you're going to inspire so many and have so much potential waiting for you to just be released into the world in the podcast community. And I'm really excited for you. I think that's going to be a great space for you. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun doing it. So let me ask you, if you could go back and talk to your younger self, let's jump back into when before you were about to have your first child.
Oh,
If you can talk to her, what would you say to her today?
like the night before I found out I was pregnant? Like, here's the thing. This actually came up recently in a conversation I had with someone. I don't live a life of regrets.
Sure.
I take it as like life. This is life. Like there's a purpose, there's a plan, there's a reason, there's a season. Like I'm learning something every step of the way and I'm walking away a better person of myself. In the moment, I might feel like shit, but I will continue moving forward, right?
Yeah.
So, like for my 14-year-old, the night before I found out I was pregnant, that night, was the first night I was suicidal, and
Oof.
I remember sitting in the kitchen, I had a knife in my hand, and my ex, walks in and sees me, and he realizes what's about to happen, and he says, like, he's gonna change. In those moments, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna change, I'll be better," and for anyone that has gone through that, you know it doesn't change. But again, like, the next day, like take a test randomly and take like 5 others because I didn't believe it. But I realized, crap, like I'm pregnant. Like it's crazy how like I can be at the deepest point of my life of I don't want to live this life anymore. And the very next day I have a reason to keep going. I read somewhere that when God gives you kids, he brings them into your life for a reason. Like no matter
Yeah.
how hard it is, there's something that you needed or your soul needed and that's how it's going to be fulfilled, and I heavily believe in that. So, I would tell myself before having kids, 1, that you will have kids because I had 3 miscarriages before that, before I actually got, pregnant and had the baby, and the second thing I would tell myself is uh, that it's gonna be a journey, there will be some shit times, but you will be fearless and you will go through it and you will succeed. Like, just keep going. That belief that, hey, it's going to be shitty sometimes, but you're going to be an amazing person and your kids are going to love you. That small nugget alone would keep me going. That's what I would tell
I think that's
myself.
amazing. I think she'd be happy to hear that.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what does like if there's anything that is there anything that you would unlearn? Like anything that where you're like, yeah, I wish I maybe have not taken that path, or maybe I mean not a series of regret, right? But maybe something where it's in a cultural background, or maybe something whether it been in school or something where you're like, yeah, what I mean by that is I'll give you an example for myself, right? You get told, you know, that hey, you gotta work yourself, you know, just you gotta put in the work, right? So I'm a big and anybody that knows me knows that I'm a huge fan of Gary Vee. Like, I love Gary Vee, and I got a lot from his content. He taught me a lot of things in life. I will forever be thankful for that man. I would literally probably cry and give him the biggest hug in the world if I ever seen him. I would, and I truly mean that. But one of the things I would try to unlearn from that is it's always putting, like, you got to put in the work, right? And putting in that work, staying up till 2 in the morning, just continuously working, but not taking a step for a moment to like enjoy life. And I even catch myself now with that. You know what I mean? Like with my kid, like, hey, like as soon as he goes to bed, I'm going to be up working till 1 in the morning. And then I got to be up at 6, getting him ready to go, right? You'll sleep when you're dead, or I don't need 6 or 7 hours of sleep, or I don't need 8 hours of sleep. I don't need to recharge the battery as much, right? But if I could unlearn that and learn the fact that it doesn't have to always be work, 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 work. Because the last thing and I say that because up until November, I worked 2 jobs. So I was working 2 jobs. I was going to school. I mean, there was a time, I think the longest stunt that I did where I worked almost 60 days in a row. 60 days. Like weekend, like no
Days
time
off,
off.
yeah.
And literally worked when I had my kid. And I realized that I was just being a bad parent because, like my kid is doing something and I'm like, hey, I got to work, you know what I mean? And just give me a second, let me finish some work and I'll be back out there with you. He's 2 years old. He doesn't know the difference of what daddy,
He
why
won't
daddy has
remember.
to work, you know. He won't remember for sure, but I'll remember, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because again, like I said, he's not going to be 2 years old again.
Mhm.
I'm not going to be able to pick him up and hold him like I was, because even now I find myself like wishing I could hold him I used to be able to hold him
Yeah.
like a football, right?
I
Now
say
I,
that to
I'm,
my
I'm, I'm
five-year-old.
yeah, now I'm chasing him, and trying to keep up with him, right? But if I could unlearn the fact that like you just have to always be working, and the last example I'll give you of that is and this is a true story. I probably could pull it up and share my screen right now, but I've had a PS5 sitting in my Best Buy cart for almost 3+ years.
Oh,
Okay. And I still feel it today, right? I feel so much guilt of owning a gaming system because my theory behind that is if you got time to play Madden or Call of Duty, you got time to work, you got time to learn, you got time to develop. And so instead of actually going to play Call of Duty, I turned that around and said, well, go take an Excel class, go take a PowerPoint class, go start taking some AI courses, go start learning and developing your brain so you could do what? Work more. And I felt so guilty and I still feel guilty. Like the thing's been sitting in the cart. I've seen that thing hit so many sales already. I couldn't even tell you. I probably could have got it for half price by now, but I felt so guilty about that because I felt it would take away from me putting into the work to advance myself when why, as long as it's in moderation, like you enjoy playing Madden football on PlayStation, like why not do that for 30 minutes of your time frame or an hour of your day to have you some you time?
yeah,
And I it's a guilt feeling because I felt like I have to put in the work. Now I'm not saying that's Gary Vee's
yeah.
fault, but what I'm
You have
saying is
to unlearn some things.
I took his message and said, yeah, put in the work. Do work. And I mean, I still watch one of his videos today it's called Do. Like it's a 5-minute video of a plea to do. And that is still one of my motivational videos that I watch today. And I could almost recite the thing verbatim because I've watched it so many times. When I get into an aspect of feeling down, I'm like, put in the work, put in the work.
That goes back to, like, the trauma responses too, of not resting enough and giving yourself grace. So, for me, unlearning, I think more than unlearning, it would be, "I wish I knew this sooner,"
Yeah.
right? There's so many "I wish I knew this sooner" moments, like, for having my own business, I started a little over a decade ago, like, with henna tattoos and then event planning, then I got into the wedding business and the network marketing business for health and wellness, coaching, like, I wish I would have known more about business sooner. Like, I went to law school and then I learned to study tax code, and then I learned of all the deductions, and then I learned, okay,
Do
business.
you do taxes? Because I mean, it is tax season coming up here.
Do I do taxes? I'm not a CPA, but I study tax code, so I know a lot of tips and tricks for business owners because I've personally read it and done my own taxes for who knows how many
Yeah.
years.
I like to tell all the kids at my kid's daycare, I'm like, hey, tax season's coming. Make sure everybody brings their social right around February.
Get your
No kidding.
forms,
I'm
yeah,
totally
get
kidding.
your forms. So, it's more than unlearning, it's going back and wishing we knew certain things sooner. I think one of the things for me when it comes to my self-awareness is when I recognize that there's something that needs to change, I work on figuring out how I'm going to do that, and if I don't know, I go back to that squad of people that I have that I can talk to and say, "Hey, here's my situation, how do I do it?" And if you don't have that right group of people, you won't know who to ask. Like, I'm not like, I shared about the whole thing of I need to rest more, and that's giving myself grace and understanding that I'm my best self when I have that rest. Something I didn't know until I got into health and wellness was how important sleep is for us as we grow older. Like, our bodies need time to heal and repair cells and build our immunity and help with our metabolism and help so that our skin clears out, like all the things. And if we don't give our body that sleep that it needs, it's not going to do what it needs. And then you're relying on things like meds and prescriptions and energy drinks that have chemicals and all the things.
Yeah.
It's
Gallons of
maybe
coffee.
as I'm saying it, like unlearning all the lies told about processed foods and something that's called sugar free, but it really has sugar in 10 different forms in the ingredients. Like, those are the things I wish I could unlearn earlier, but at the same time, if I hadn't gone through the journey I went through, I wouldn't have become the coach I am today. So, it's
I
like
think I need you to go through my
one
fridge.
or the other. Did you say I wouldn't wanna see your friend?
I think I need you to go through it. I think you need to
Let's
go through my
talk.
fridge.
I'm currently coaching a group of folks, in November, I did 30 hard, I did a parasite cleanse, and then in December, I coached a entire group of folks through 30 days of healthy living program, and we had another group that started today. So I am practicing and preaching. I am leading by example through all my own healthy habits. So yes, we can totally go through that fridge and talk about ingredients more if you're interested in a future healthy living program.
Highly, highly interested.
Yeah,
So, one of the closing questions that I ask all of my guests is what does living life in all directions mean to you?
life in all directions. What does it mean to me? This is a great closing question. Life in all directions. I would say the message that I take from that is any given day, you will have more than a dozen different things that want your attention. And ultimately, you decide what actions you're going to take. And as coach, I'm going to say when you're taking those actions, think about how that's helping your future self. And if you can't think about how that's helping your future self, is that really something that needs to be prioritized? And through that, you can learn to understand what can wait till tomorrow and where you can stick in your rest and relaxation time too.
I think that's absolutely amazing, and that's by far the best answer we've had in
Thanks.
2026.
Yay.
Look, folks, I'm so thankful that you got to join us today. And if today's conversation resonated with you, if it reminded you that growth doesn't follow one straight path, I really want to thank you for being here. Whether you listen every week or this is your first time listening, or you're quietly just able to take one piece of this with you, this whole space is because of you. And I really do thank you from the bottom of my heart. So here's to honoring where we've been, showing up fully right where we are, and building exactly what's next with intentions. I'm Dante Street, and this is Life in All Directions. Keep choosing growth, peace, and purpose as we continue to step forward in 2026. I'll catch you on the next episode.